Hey guys, happy Wednesday. Thank you for joining me tonight. I appreciate you guys being here. We are working on my sparkly hourglass quilt again tonight. So we finished the whole top last night. I got the borders on. Here we go. Got these big green borders on. And tonight I want to cut the back and the binding for it. And I have a kind of a special way that I want to try doing that. So starts with math tonight, guys. So I have it all kind of planned out, but I'll run you through kind of my thought process for that. Again, wanting to let you know that I am giving away this quilt when we're done, and we're getting there soon. I mean, we're making the back and the binding, so after that it's just quilting. So be sure to sign up for the giveaway. It is there's a link in the post here on Facebook, and there will be a link in YouTube if you're watching on YouTube as well in the description. So thanks again, guys, for signing up for that. I appreciate it. We will be announcing the winner when we're finished in the Penguin and Fish Crafters group. I know Susan math tonight. Luckily, I did all the math beforehand, so I'm just reviewing the math with you tonight, so I think that'll make it a little bit easier and quicker. All right, guys, if you're new, my name is Alyssa Thomas from Penguin and Fish, where we make lovely and quirky hand embroidery patterns and kits. And I'm here every night where we can relax and craft and chit-chat. I'm here every night at 9:30 p.m. Central Time. And again, we are wrapping up our hourglass block quilts. And if you are making your own hourglass block quilt, be sure to share it in the Penguin and Fish Crafters Facebook group as well. Just click on, do a search for it and click join, and I will let you in. So, all right, let's get going. I am going to math it up to begin here. All right, flipping you around. Okay, guys, here is what I got going on so far. So, all right, let's get situated. Okay, so this was my math from the other day to figure out the size of the quilt. So our finished size, you know, here's the inside of the quilt with all the hourglasses. There's a couple big hourglasses. So the final size of the quilt is 48.5 inches by 52.5 inches. So first of all, I wanted to figure out the size of what the binding should be. So the binding needs to go around the perimeter here, and then plus we're going to have to add a bunch of extra inches just because we need to sew the pieces together. So we need to account for that. So all right, so the perimeter of the binding, the math for this, you know, 52.5 times 2, and then 48.5 times 2 for both sides. And then you add them all together. That's the perimeter. So that ended up being 202 inches. And then I need a bunch extra, like probably at least a foot extra for the ability to sew them together. We're gonna do that angled sewing, and hopefully tonight yet. So all right, so we have to remember that number for later. And another thing that was brought up the other night is that we should try and do the lengthwise grain for the binding, because I actually already cut a few pieces of the binding when we cut the border. I had a couple bits left. So this is on the lengthwise grain, which is the least stretchy grain. The least stretchy part of the fabric is the lengthwise. That's the part, the long part that comes off the bolt. The widthwise, that is slightly more stretchy. And then the bias, which is that 45-degree angle stretch, that's super duper stretchy. So we need 202 inches plus all that extra total. And I currently have already, with the bindings that we've done, 48 inches. So that's my math down here. So ultimately, we need, oh, I didn't write that down. We need like, what was it, like 100. Oh man, now I gotta get the math out again, get the calculator out. So 202 minus the 48 that I already have, okay, is 154. So I figured out ultimately that I'm gonna need 4 strips, but we'll get to that. So all right, let's start with this back again. the back should be at least 58 by 54 inches. That gives me another almost 3 inches on all the sides, all the way around. And we want that extra inch, so we're gonna say like 3 inches and 3 inches. It's more like 2.5 inches. We're gonna need a little bit extra. It doesn't have to be perfect, but we do want a little bit extra for the backing fabric compared to the front. And we'll get to that once we start quilting, but in general, we're gonna want a little bit of overhang, and 3 inches is plenty for a quilt this size. I could probably do a little less, but I'm gonna stick for 3 inches right now on either side. So I added 6 inches approximately to the measurements here. I just rounded it out. So I want my back to be around 58 inches by 54 inches. So if you guys have checked out my Facebook, I shared a post. I forget who the originator of the post was, but I shared a post the other day on a different way to sew and cut the back of the quilt, and it's also going to allow me to cut extra strips that are on the lengthwise grain. So it kind of works perfect. And I know we're kind of running through this super fast, guys, especially if you are unfamiliar with this, so just call out if you have any questions about anything. What I'm going to do, so we have this 54-inch piece by 58 inches now. So let's just draw that again. We have this rectangle, right? I am going to measure off the bolt a piece of fabric that's twice that size. So twice the width. So twice the width. So that would be 108 inches. Then I'm going to fold that in half to get back to my 54 inches. So it'll look like this. I'll have a 54-inch piece, and then I'll fold it. Here's the fold. And then after I unfold the fold that's part of the bolt, it'll be about 42 inches, right? 42 inches, because that's the size of fabric on a bolt approximately. 40 to 44 inches. So I'm going to fold it here, and we'll end up with the width of the fabric, and then 54 inches, which is what we ultimately want it to end up being, and then the fold. So if we unfolded that, it would be 108 inches by 52. And here's the lengthwise. This is the lengthwise grain. So far, so good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that 108-inch piece of fabric right off the bolt, fold it in half, again, getting my 54 inches. Here's the fold. And then all we're going to do is sew this bottom edge. And then we will cut off, here's me cutting, we will cut off the fold. And then we will flop it down. And then we will have a 54-inch wide piece, which is what we need. And it's going to end up being like 84 inches tall, or about like 80 inches. 80. Double the width of a fabric bolt. So we only need 58. So I'm going to cut off what I need. So we'll cut that off. Then this will be the back, and then I will have extra fabric here that I can cut my binding strips off, and it will still be the lengthwise fabric, lengthwise bit of the fabric. So, aren't you glad I did this math beforehand? So, all right, we are going to end up with a 22-inch by 54-inch piece that we've cut off, and then I can cut, I'm only going to need to cut four binding strips from there because I already have the couple cut. So, all right, this is my math. We're going to give this a try. So here's what we're going to do first. All right, we have the bolt of fabric here. So what I'm going to start out doing is I need to cut that double the 54 inches. So that's that 108. I need to cut 108 inches off of here. So I'm going to scooch this over. And I figured out already 108. I have a 24-inch cutting board here. 108 inches is 4 times my cutting board plus another 12 inches. So that'll be easy enough. Let's roll a whole pile off of here. I'm definitely getting to use up a whole lot of this green, which is great since I have this whole giant bolt of it. I'm just rolling a lot off just to get started. Okay, so now we can count that 4 times here. And you know what? We have a pretty decent straight edge. And it doesn't need to be super straight because this is for the back, and the back doesn't need a perfect edge because we are going to cut it off once we get it sandwiched together. I just need to know that I have like that good 3 inches around the edge. So what I'm doing is I'm taking the folded side here, and I'm going to line it up with a 24-inch mark on here. So the beginning of the ruler, and then I'm going to go along a line so it's relatively straight. And again, it doesn't need to be super perfect. And then over here you can see I'm going to go to the end here, and I'm going to grab this piece, and I'm going to count 4 times, and then the 12 inches, and then that's where we're going to cut. So all right, let's do that. So this is the first. All right, this is 2. We'll see if this works. I've never tried this before. But the instructions for this are in that post that I shared. It's a little ways down. It's from a few days ago. But it's a different way to do a backing fabric. Okay, this is 3. This is 4. And then I need 12 more inches. So let's give myself some space here. And this we can actually cut. Ooh, and I'm going to need to turn this way so it fits on my cutting board here. All right, let me place this on the line. All right, so that is the 12 extra that I need. So it's kind of on the 0 mark right now. So now I just need to measure 12 inches this way. And you know what? I'm going to just use my cutting board lines as a guide because, again, it doesn't need to be super perfect. So, all right, I am on the line here. Let's get the ruler. So I'm going to go with the 12 at the 12-inch mark. And you know what? Why don't we do the math quick just to make sure. So I did 4 24 inches. So that's 96 inches plus another 12 inches. That gets us our 108 inches. And that's our 108, which divided by 2 was 54 inches, which is ultimately what we want for the width of the back. So, all right, math is good. Let's cut. All right, 12 inches. So much fabric. Okay. So I do not need the bolt of green at all anymore. We are done with the bolt. That's nice. And look, there's still tons and tons of green on here yet. I'll have green forever. Okay, good. So now, in theory, all we have to do is take this super long piece. Let me get to an end. Let's unfold it. So now it is the true 44 or so inches. Unfolding. I know it looks kind of crazy for you guys. Let me see if I can get a little wider for you. So I'm unfolding that bolt. And then we fold it in half, the whole thing. So here's the selvage. I'm matching it up with another selvage. and folding it in half. And this will be our 50, what was it? 54 inches. So you know what? I think I'm gonna wonder clip this together. This is what we're gonna actually sew on. So I'm gonna sew along the selvage. I'm gonna probably sew a 1/2 inch or so away from the selvage because the selvage is like really tight. We don't wanna, that's, the selvage is where you can see all the holes. It's the side of the fabric. That's what runs through the machine. And we're gonna sew about right here. And then when we're done, we can trim that, and we will cut the fold that we made here. So see, we're folding the bolt in half. Let me see if I can back up and show you guys. So see, this is the fold from when it was on the bolt. I've opened that up, and I've put the selvages together. So now we've made this new fold here. The selvages will sew along here, and then we will cut along there when we're done, and then fold it in half on what we've sewn, and we should have the full size we need for the back. It's kind of a neat little process. And then all the excess, we'll be able to cut our lengthwise strips for the binding, what we need extra for the binding. And I mean, this is working because I'm doing a green binding with the green back, so that works. I'm gonna just quickly wonder clip these because this is a big piece of fabric that's pretty unruly. So I'm just gonna go along the edge and match up these selvages. So how is everyone's first day of summer? I'm pretty excited. Although, you know, now it's the sad part where the days get shorter. Isn't that gross? All right. Again, just kind of roughly clipping these all along the edge. Thank goodness you didn't have wine with dinner. Oh, you'd be totally lost. I know, Bonnie. This is the confusing part. But like I said, go look at that post that I shared a few days ago. It's how to do this way of making the back. It's pretty interesting because, you know, usually a back is too big, so you have to piece it together with a bunch of pieces of fabric. This way, you're only cutting once instead of cutting a whole pile of pieces to long, giant pieces to sew together and cut multiple times. This way, you're only cutting once, and you only have to sew once as well. So it really, in theory, will save time and energy. But again, I agree, it is confusing, and this is the first time that I've done it. But yeah, take a look at that post. Can you explain again the method for backing up? For the backing you just talked about, please. Okay, I will go over this again because yes, it is totally confusing. So let me just close this up before I dump it all again. Oh, it's not really closing. There we go. All right, I'm gonna draw it for you because I think I can explain it better that way. Let's see if this works for you guys. Okay. So ultimately, the back of my quilt, this is the back of my quilt, and I want the back of my quilt to be 58 inches by, what did I say? 54 inches. So there we go. That is the back of my quilt. Okay? So typically, there's a couple ways you could piece together a quilt. So to start out, this is a problem, these sizes, because the width of fabric is only 42 inches, right? So we have, here's the fabric on the bolt. It's folded here, fold, and when it's unfolded, it's about 42 inches. So does that make sense? This is my bolt of fabric, and you know, it's folded on the bolt. See, it comes folded on the bolt. So when I unfold it, it's only 42 inches wide, right? Unfolded, it's 42 inches, and that measurement is not big enough, right? Yes, Michelle, Michelle, that post, that Facebook post that I shared, definitely, it has images, so it makes a whole lot more sense, and I'm going to try and repeat that right there. But so our fabric's not big enough, so we have to piece it together somehow. So you could piece it together, you know, this could be the 42 inches, and you could do a long piece like this, but then you'd only have like this little piece here, and we'd have to cut all these awkward long pieces. You'd actually have to cut 2 pieces, and you'd be wasting this much fabric, right? So we don't want to do it that way, and this would be tough to cut all of those pieces. The other way is to do it this way, where you cut the 42 inches, and then you still have to cut another 42 inches piece that's 54 inches long. And that's basically what we're doing, but we're doing it a faster way where we don't have to cut both of those pieces out, line them all up, and sew them. What we're doing is taking this 54 inches, so we're going to cut a piece of fabric that's the 42 inches, because that's how big fabric is, right? 42 inches, but we are going to double our width. So we are going to go 108 inches. You know, here's what we're going for our quilt. So this is 54 inches. We're going to double it, and then we're going to fold that in half. So this is the selvage. We're going to fold that in half. So now we are folded, and this is the fold. So now we've folded in half, and then we're going to sew along this line. We will cut that fold. You know, we folded this in half, so we'll cut that fold off, and then we will flip it down. So we will flip it down, we'll sew this, we'll flip it down, and then we'll have our whole back, and then we just need to cut off the excess. So here's me cutting off the excess. And then from that excess, we'll get our binding. Yep, you're just sewing on one double selvage edge. Marion, you're absolutely right. That's exactly it. So again, we're taking off the bolt. So here's the end of the bolt here. There, here's the bolt. So we're taking all our fabric off the bolt. We've cut 108 inches. That's what I just did. Now you know, you have to unfold your bolt, you know, to get that 42 inches. So the bolt's actually only this big. And this is the fold. So we've unfolded it, and we've cut 108 inches. We're folding that in half, so we're bringing this point to this point, sewing along that double selvage. Then we will cut this fold away, and then we will flip it where this was sewn here. And we're going to end up with, you know, it'll be 42 inches, so we'll end up with like 80 or so inches here, right? But we only need 58 inches. So we will cut off the extra, and from that extra bit that we'll cut off, we will make the rest of our binding. And this is the lengthwise grain. And so our binding will also end up being that lengthwise grain, which is what we're going for. So I don't know, does that make a little bit more sense, guys? I know it was totally confusing, and I'm such a visual learner too. And that's why that blog post, or that post that that I've shared, that blog post was really helpful, because she had images for everything, but this is the general idea, right? So, and why this is nice is because we only have to make one cut. We make this one giant cut, so we're only dealing with big honkin' huge giant fabric once. We're sewing it, and then we just have this one final cut. And, you know, it's as if we've cut 2 pieces that are 54 inches, and lined them up and sewn them together, but in a way where we have less cuts, less cumbersome stuff. Jennifer, there's a post, I shared her post. It is on it's on the Penguin and Fish page, and it looks like exactly what you'd expect. It looks like, you know, I think it's a big bright blue rectangle of her, like a diagram of trying to cut stuff. So it'll look like this, but bright blue, basically, the image in the post. So you'll just have to scroll down on the Penguin and Fish page a little bit, but I would read that post. But that's what we're doing right here. Folding it over, sewing, flipping it down, and the extra is what we're going to use. You're getting good at explaining this. I know, when you teach something, it's easier to retain. Yeah, I mean, and again, I need the images too, so hopefully this helped a little bit. So what we have here, so far, what I've just wonder clipped is this edge. So I've cut this 108 inches, I've folded it in half, and now I've pinned along this edge. So now I'm gonna sew that. So that's where we're at now, guys. So let's give that a try. And again, if you need help with this again, let me know. But all right, I think we got it. All right, shimmy down this way. It was confusing for me, actually. I had to read through that post twice, and then I had to read through it again today to just see if I really understood it. So again, I'm not gonna sew my 1/4 inch because I got all this selvage here. I'm gonna sew way out here, so about a 1/4 inch away, or about almost a 1/2 inch away from the where the selvage ends here. So I'm gonna just find a line on my sewing machine here and sew along that. And the nice thing about this is I can just keep my wonder clips on and just keep sewing because they're far away from the edge here. So the next trick will be sewing that, or cutting off that final fold, but we'll get to there. One thing at a time for sure on this. But I'm telling you, I'm already happy with doing it this way because it is so awkward for me to work with giant pieces of fabric. So to only have to do it this once is really nice, and that's what this method kind of does. You're not having to cut 2 giant pieces of fabric and then try and match up all the seams. You just have to cut your 1 giant piece of fabric, then fold it in half, and then you're good. All right, and we're getting there already. And I guess another thing that she said in the post is it's nice if you have a patterned back because it's easier to match up a pattern when you're folding it upon itself this way, when you're matching the selvages. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Doesn't apply to us though with this green fabric. All right, I think we're good here still. Okay, I think that was relatively straight that whole time. All right, so that is the only sewing we have to do for the back. You know, I should cut this selvage off. Let's take the wonder clips off first. All right. So now, in theory, we just have to cut along this fold. You love this method, feeling so up to date on things. Funny, Michelle. I know, right? That's how I'm feeling now that I'm sewing and all that a whole lot more. I'm feeling way more in the know. You know what? I think I'm first going to cut off this selvage, and I'm just going to do that by, let's fold this in half a few times on that seam. I think that'll work. So I'm just using that seam as a guide, and maybe this is a bad idea. I probably could just take a scissors and cut off this whole thing, but I don't know. Living dangerously, I suppose. You know what, I think I'm only gonna go up to there too. So all my seams, in theory, are pretty lined up. I'm gonna give myself a little bit more than a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So where'd ruler go? Right here. I'll give myself a 1/2 inch here, just in case I didn't line it up right. But this will get most of the selvage off. Okay, I feel good about that. All right, so yeah, we're still good. I still have some selvage on, so I could kind of cut some of that off later. So now here's the trick. Is now we need to cut along this fold that we made, but this fold isn't really all that prominent. So you know what I think I need to do is I think I need to pin this other direction as well, just so I know what the center of this side is. And then we'll just trim right along that line, and we can do that kind of roughly as well. So I think I'm just gonna wonder clip this side together just to get to the center again, since that's kind of unclear on where that is. I'm not gonna sew this, I just need to visually know where that center is, because this is a large piece of fabric yet. This is still the 44 or so inches, which is a lot. Yeah, and I might give it a press too, I think you're right. I will find the center, that's what I'm doing now, and then I think we'll try finger pressing it first. And yeah, maybe give it a press. Oh, finger pressing might be enough. I'm gonna just slice the whole fold away. So we only need kind of the general area where it needs to be. I think I can just fold it in half and I think we'll be fine now that I'm thinking through it. I could see working on a larger quilt how this would be good. So you can really only use this technique if your quilt is like 80 inches. The back of your quilt is like 80 inches or less, because, that's doubling the width of the fabric. So if you're working on a quilt larger, you might have to do a little bit of a different technique. Okay, so we have the Wonder Clip side, and over here we have the folded side. And you know what? I think I'm just gonna pull that tight and put these ends together, and I think that's all we're gonna do. So I just folded it, because remember, this is the back and I do have extra inches. So if I clip a little much, it's not gonna matter. So I think we're good. So what I did here is since it's huge, this is the 44 inches. Here's the selvages matched again, just like how I did at the bottom where I sewed it. Folded it in half, and then I folded it in half again just so it fits on my board. And I don't think I need to press it, because it's not that important, like I said. We don't need exact numbers, we just need, those couple inches along the edge here. So I'm just gonna line it up on one of the lines on my ruler. And I'm just gonna, I don't even need to line it up, I just need to get rid of that fold. That's all we really need, is getting rid of that fold. Okay, fold is gotten rid of, and now our back should be done except for pressing. So let me get rid of my Wonder Clips quick. Okay, So I've just cut this fold, and let me show you again what I mean here. So we've sewn that selvage together, we've folded in half, and now I have just cut my fold off. That's what I just did now. So now we're done. Now I just fold it down. So here's that edge that we cut. Here's the edge that we sewed. Here's us matching those other two selvage together. Now we can just pull those apart. Here's where we sewed, and now we've got a double-sized. We should have something that is 54 inches. So we should have something that's 54 inches by about 80 inches right now, right? Because it's double the size of the width of the fabric. So 54 inches, that's our final size. That's what we want. So we could actually test that. We could see if this worked. 54 inches. And we only need 58 inches tall for the back. So I'm going to measure that 58 inches, and then we're going to cut everything else off. And the bit that we cut off, I'm going to use for the binding. It'll be the lengthwise stuff. So let me know if you're with me so far here, guys. So let's test first to see if this is that 54 inches. So I think I'm going to just do that by throwing my ruler down here. All right, that's 24 approximately. Where'd the fold go? The sewn line. All right, so this is 48. 48. 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54. That's what we needed, right? Perfect. So that worked fabulously. We have a 54-inch wide piece, and again, it is 80 inches or so now, and we only need it to be approximately 58 inches. So, all right, let's rotate this guy and find out what our 58 inches is. So you know what? I think I'm going to use my ruler again. I know, it worked! It totally worked, right, Michelle? That is exciting. All right, I'm going to give myself some leeway with this selvage. So again, this just needs to be roughly that 58 inches. So I'm going to measure that 24. Leave our ruler there. 24. This is 48. 48, we need 58, so I just need 10 more inches, correct? 10 more inches is right here. So that is all we need. In theory, I should have about 22 inches left over, so let's see. Yep, I have a little over, but that's because I have some selvage. So, all right, I'm going to just trim it right here. Let's see, how's the best way to do that? I'm going to clip this. This is the mark. This is where I need to cut, okay? Let's get the ruler out of here. I think I'm going to need to fold this in half like a bajillion times to do that. So let's do that again. I'm going to match up the selvages over here. Oh, thanks, Antoinette. Hopefully, I mean, you know, again, when you're dealing with gigungous pieces of fabric like this, it gets a little crazy. All right, so I'm just folding this in half. This huge piece. You know, I'm going to do it this way so all the bulk can be on my left. All right, shaking it out. Again, I'm just kind of making a fold here at the bottom. All right, let's fold it up again because this is still pretty large for us to cut. Okay. Actually, let me try that again. You know what? I think I'm going to actually clip the other side of this. There, now we have both sides. All right, here's the center here. This is going to be tricky, actually. I can get it flat on both sides, we should probably be pretty good. There. I think that'll work. Will the seam be down the center of the back? It's not going to be down the center. It's going to be offset. So the seam will not be in the center. It's going to be more, it'll be more like right, oh, where'd my pencil go? If this is the back of my quilt, it'll be down like this, not in the center. It'll be down a little bit further, which is fine. I don't need it in the center. All right, I think we are probably pretty good here. So this is my new fold. I'm gonna just bring that up to the top so I can cut it. This is maybe a little ridiculous to do it this way, but again, we do have extra. I only need those couple inches on either side. So if I end up doing this at way an angle, it's not gonna be the end of the world. All right, I'm gonna just try to line up this fold at the bottom and line up my fold at the top. All right, and we're looking pretty straight, so I'm gonna go for it, guys. All right, I've clipped this point up here. That's where I wanted to cut. All this is my extra. This is what we're gonna cut binding strips out of. I'm gonna just cut a little bit extra for myself. We'll go right there. And we'll do a test. We'll see how it goes. And again, I got 6 inches extra to work with. If I lose a little, it'll be okay. All right, that's my only other cut. All right, so this I'm gonna save for the binding. I'm gonna just set it aside for now. Let's give this another measure. There, see, so we only have this much, and then a whole width of the fabric. So that should work. So all right, let's do our measuring on here again. So we should be around 58 inches. So here's 20. Whoop, let me show you guys. Here's 24. Here's 48, and we should have about 10 more inches, right, for 58. And there we go. Here's 10 inches plus a little bit of selvage. So perfect. We have our back. So I do need to press it yet, but I think maybe I'll just wait on that, and I will cut the binding pieces, and then we'll do that. So yeah, so here I still need to press this flat and then open it up. But let's go back to the binding. So, all right. Now this, just to reiterate again, this is the piece we cut off. So this is what we have left. You know, remember we've cut it in half. If we never cut that fold, if we unfolded it, it would still be 108 inches, but remember we've cut that fold. So now we have 2 layers of 54 inches by whatever we had left, which is around 21, 22 inches. So I need to cut lengthwise. So I need to cut strips off of here, and I only need, based on the math that we did before, I only need 4 strips to go around to get my 202 plus a bunch of extra, like at least a foot extra. I only need 4 extra strips because we have 2 strips from when we were working on this earlier, for when we cut the border fabric. All right, so let's just cut our 4 extra strips. And you know what? I think we folded this well enough that we can get our 4 strips out of here. But let's see if we can do a better job. Now that we have a whole lot less fabric, it might be easier. Yeah, I think I'll give it a trim again, but we have it folded here. selvages are together over here. Let's line up this fold on the bottom. Actually, I think I'm gonna line up using this edge. We'll do a fresh cut to start out, and you know what? It's gonna be plenty close enough what we get out of here. So 2.5 strips, I need 4 of them, and we should be good. That made the binding quick and easy too. All right. Let's get our straight edge here. All right, machine, you're gonna be in my way. Nope. Oh, speaking of kind of machines in the way, I ordered an extension table today, so I'm hoping it gets here. My mom has an extension table. That's the big tray that comes off of your sewing machine, so it's level. And my birthday's coming up, so I splurged and got one. I actually got a one that adjusts to any machine. I'm pretty excited about it. So that will be coming in the mail. And I think I might, maybe I'll have it by the time we start actually quilting. All right, 2.5 inches, 4 strips. All right, there's our first. So I'm stoked. Double check. Yep, 2.5 inches. The nice thing about these strips, because of the way that we're cutting them, because of how we did the back just now, is these are lengthwise grain strips, which we wanted because that's what our 2 binding pieces that we've already finished, that was on the lengthwise grain as well. Oh, how to order one. Sure, you know what? I'll put a link to it in the notes or in this Facebook thing when I'm done. So I could only find it one place. So usually with these extension tables, usually you have to get them custom made for your machine, for your particular model, your year, everything. You have to get them for your machine. However, there's this one out there. I could only find this one. I think it's called like the Universal So Adaptable, like So Adaptable, some goofy, obvious name like that. But it allows you to put it on any machine. It has it's kind of like Tetris. It has a bunch of widgets that you can move however you want and tighten. So it can go on any machine. So if you ever got a new machine, or if you were traveling and wanted to bring your table with you, but you were going to be sewing on a different machine at your new place, this table will work on any machine, and that's pretty unique. I haven't seen, at least as far as what I've seen that's out there. So I will put a link to it. I found it at the manufacturer, but they were sold out there, and then I found it at one other place, and I ordered it there, and it comes in 3 different sizes. The large one is like 24 inches by 24 inches, something like that. And I think the 18-inch, which is the one that I got, is 18 by 20. So it comes out of the machine 20, but it's only 18 inches. And I thought that'd be good because I have a smaller table that it might want to go on. And then it comes in a small as well. But yeah, it looked kind of awesome. So I will put a link to that in the Facebook and the YouTube. Yeah, that's the thing, Charlie Anna, is I knew they had to be custom for your machine, and I never wanted to do that because, I don't know, what if I switch around machines, and I'm using like this old, I'm using a vintage machine, so what happens if I want to get a new machine, at some point? Or if I go to my mom's house and I want to use mine, then she's using a different machine. So having it custom for your machine just never felt right to me. So I was really happy to find this. I'll put a link to it. So all right, guys, we got the 4 strips here, and here are our 2 extra strips. There's two here. So we should, at this point, have all the strips we need for the binding. And you know what? We do actually have a ton of fabric left, so I mean, it's not like we're saving a ton of fabric. But I was thinking, I mean, this is a good size fabric that I could use later, but I was thinking maybe I'll make a little bag or something out of it that could maybe hold the quilt or something when I'm done. I don't know. I do have a good, nice big, this is probably about a ½ yard chunk of this green yet. And remember, it's more than a yard. It's 54 inches wide. It's bigger than a normal piece of fabric. So cool. Little bit extra. All right, and you know what? I think we actually have some time yet to fold, to sew these guys. Why don't we just do that tonight yet? Then tomorrow we'll have to press it all. But we got a few more minutes. We got like 8 minutes or 6 minutes. I think we can sew this in that amount of time. All right, what I'm gonna do is, okay, there's no right side or wrong side to these. But what we want to do, we're going to sew them, we're going to put them together like this at a 90-degree angle, and we are going to sew along the 45-degree angle so that when we press them, it will look like that. So our fold, there will be a 45-degree fold there, but that will help disperse the thickness of the seam once we turn this into a binding. Like, it won't be one just giant fat seam in the same place. This kind of disperses it over a bit. So we need to do that with every single one. And look, I just kind of made a fold there. I think I'm going to use that as my guide. So the top one, instead of like drawing it with a pencil or something. So let's scratch my fold onto there. And I'm going to sew right along that line. You know, I'm putting, in theory, you're putting right sides together. This is a right side, and underneath here is a right side. In my case, again, it doesn't matter much because the sides are the same. All right, I'm sewing right along that line. Okay, and I'm going to keep going, but here is the trick. I want to make sure that the seam is always opening the correct way. So I have to keep remembering what the front of the fabric, which is difficult for this. So I got to remember, okay, when I flip it open, this is the right side, right side, right side, right side, right side, right side. Okay, good. Right side, grab another strip. We only have a couple more. There's only 6 strips total. And then we'll put it together again here. But let's put our little fold in here as a guide. You can draw this on too, but this is way easier to me right now. I don't have to get a ruler out or anything. We'll see if I, we'll see if I did this right when we're done here. All right, gotta get this guy up on the table. He's falling down. Yeah, so tomorrow we'll finish this binding up, and or you know what? That is not my stiletto. Here we go. This will work better. Maybe we'll sandwich the quilt instead tomorrow, because that's something that we can, we'll take a little bit of time. So maybe we'll sandwich the quilt tomorrow, and then we'll come back and we'll press this later. Okay, so I gotta remember what the right side is again. I flip this up. This is the right side, right side, right side. Oop. I gotta do it again. I dropped it. I freaked myself out. Okay, right side of the fabric is up. Okay, right side of the fabric. Grabbing another strip. And again, putting the right side together with it. And again, it doesn't really matter for mine, since they are, there are no right sides. All right, sewing that. Oh, I didn't do the thing where we overlapped them. That's what we did last time, didn't we? I forgot to do that. You don't have to sew perfectly from corner to corner. You can overlap them. Then you don't have to deal with things being perfect. All right, flip it around. This is the right side. Right side, right side, right side, right side. Okay, and I think this is our last strip. Wow, that went fast. I didn't actually sew. Oh, nope. One more on the floor. I thought that was only 5. Second to last strip. Like here, we could just sew them. We can overlap them like this and sew them together. But you know what? It's going okay. I'm just gonna keep doing this. This one will be a little overlapped. What I'll have to do is follow my fold line, and I should be fine. I mean that I don't have to have this piece perfectly square with it. I can actually overlap them like that, and then just sew from you know, where they meet to where they meet down here. Like I can just draw a line and sew along there, and then I can trim all this later. Then I don't have to deal with it being perfectly like square. So this one I'm going to overlap a little bit because I don't think this is a square piece. I learned that when I did the binding for my Splendid Sampler quilt. And sometimes it's easier for the machine to grab it than to. All right, now we only have one more. All right, if I flip this, this is the right side. Okay, right side is up. And here is my last piece. I'm just folding this again instead of drawing a line. Like I could get my ruler out and draw with pencil this line in, but I just want to order the pattern. Order the pattern, the shipping is high. Oh, so Marion, you're talking about our next project. We're gonna start the designer series coming up here, and our first project is the Travel Art Folio by Patty Young of Mod Kid. There's links in another post on Facebook. It should be easy to find. She is selling a kit. However, there is a PDF version available. You'll have to just search on her Etsy shop. So if you go to the link for the kit and then find the pattern in her shop, there is a PDF version available, but you'll just need to get your own fabric, and you'll need your own, there's some fusible interfacing and stuff in there too. I'm sure she has all the supplies listed on the PDF. So yep, you can totally buy the PDF versus the kit. You'll just have to find those extra supplies. Shipping fees are the same for the kit. Oh yeah, so yes, especially if you're overseas or in Canada, go check out, you can go to her site, again, still like clicking the same link, and there is a PDF version. But yes, you'll need to get some of those extra little bits of stuff. All right, let's trim these off. And all I'm gonna do yet tonight is make sure that I've sewn these all on the correct side. I always get a little nervous about that. So we'll run through these. So in theory, when I fold this up, you know, the right side should, you know, not the side with the stuff on, the right side should be showing the entire way. So, all right, this is my first strip. So, all right side up. I just have to always keep the right side up as I go through here. All right, here's our second one. Okay, that's on the correct side. So, oops, one is good. Okay, I'm still right side up. right side up. I have to keep saying it so I remember. Okay, that one's good. What we don't want is it to end up like this, because then we've sewn it on the wrong side and we'll have to redo that one. Right side up. All right, that one's good. And you want to do this, you want to test it before you trim these all. Okay, right side up. And we are good. That's our last one. So awesome. So we did get these all on the correct side. And you know what? It's getting a little late tonight, guys. So there is some work to do on this binding yet. We need to trim off all of these pieces here. And then what we're going to do is we are going to iron it the long way, which takes a little bit of time. So the entire long, like 200 plus inches of this, we are going to press like that. And then our binding will be done. So you know what? I think that's what tomorrow is going to have to be. We'll finish this binding, and then we will also press the back. And then for sure, we are all set to go for sandwiching. So that means sandwiching the quilt on Friday, guys. So that'll be fun. That'll be a neat little extra thing that we'll be doing. So, all right, there we go. I'm going to flip you guys around, and we will be done for the night. Hey there again, guys. So here we are, a giant binding. We got the back done, and well, we just have to press it, and then that's ready to go. We are cranking along on this. And again, I'm giving it away for free, so join the giveaway by signing up with the link here. And yeah, we will be doing, our next project is going to be the travel art folio, just spaced on the name, the travel art folio by Patty Young of Mod Kid. There is a link in one of my other posts to get the kit. She is only selling the kits through the 29th because then her family is going to be out of town on vacation. So you need to purchase the kit before the 29th if you want the kit that has all the fusible fleece and the fusible interface and all the elastic and Velcro and all that stuff. And it uses some of her fabric from her Primavera collection, and it's all just beautiful. So go click that link to get a kit if you'd like. And there is, if you don't want a kit, if you want just the PDF version of it, there is a PDF version available too if you click around in her shop. So that is that. Oh, thanks. Good with the math, Susan says. So, all right. So we did do a lot of math, and hopefully that whole system made sense for the back of the quilt. There is a post that I shared on my Facebook page a little further down that goes into it a little bit more in depth. So with images as well, with diagrams, so you can check that out. And you know, but that's the process we did tonight. I've never done it that way before, and wanted to give it a go based on that post. So, yay for the interwebs teaching us stuff. So, all right, guys, I will catch you tomorrow, and we will finish up this back and the binding. Have a great evening. Good night.